U.S. companies working with the U.S. Department of Defense are supposed to be vetted, so why on earth are they also working with China? Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. Before we begin, do you know what the #1 most popular app in the world right now is? The China Uncensored app. Get exclusive China analysis you won't see anywhere else. Oh my God, I love learning about political infighting at the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party. Available for Android and iOS, links below. So, have you ever wondered how the US military churns out some of the most innovative technologies in the world? Well, you know who can tell you? The Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, get ready for a real facepalm of an episode. You see, one way the Department of Defense stays on top of things technologically is by offering grants to companies that offer the best innovations. These grants are handed out through various programs, including the Small Business Innovation Research Program and the Small Business Technology Transfer Program, SBRI and STTR for short. These programs are designed to stimulate technological innovation for the DoD to maintain technological superiority and military readiness. And surely these wonderful programs are secure, and I'm not just saying that as a misdirection for a shocking reveal that's coming in about 45 seconds. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, these programs are the most important public-private partnerships in the United States, and currently one of the most emulated and extensively studied government R&D programs in the world. It's thanks to these programs that we've got powerful tech like the Switchblade kamikaze drones, which have helped Ukraine a lot in the fight against Russia's invasion. Wow, awesome! Except, in coming shocking reveal, according to Senator Joni Ernest, who leads the Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, 6 of the top 25 award recipients have troubling ties to China. And troubling is putting it lightly. These top recipients are outright taking U.S. taxpayer money and using what they learn to help the U.S.'s greatest enemy. It's like paying someone for lessons on how to punch you in the face. Would that be considered self-offense? Take Ross Hagihat, for example. He's the founder of Triton Systems, Inc., which is by no means a small fry. Triton has won more than 900 awards, worth more than $365 million from these programs since its founding in 1992. But from 2020 to 2022, Hagihat also took a prominent role in China. During that time, he served on the board of CITIC Capital Acquisition Corp., a special-purpose acquisition company sponsored by CITIC Capital Holdings Limited, a branch of the Chinese state-owned CITIC Group. But hey, just because it's state-owned doesn't mean it's going to be answering to the state. It's not like that's literally how it works or anything. But that wasn't his first rodeo with the CCP. Prior to serving on the board, Hagihat served as chairman of the board at a Triton Systems spin-off called FRX Polymers. That company received a $22 million investment from Chinese state-owned CITIC Capital in 2016 and started a joint venture with the Chinese company in 2019 to produce foam with flame retardants. That stuff is meant to be used in cars to keep them from catching on fire. But it could also be used by the Chinese military, especially if it goes to war with the US and Taiwan, which for years has been the Rachel Ross will they, won't they of international conflicts. Of course, a lawyer for Triton wrote in a memo that Triton has not licensed or transferred any technology derived from SBIR-related funding to the spin-off originally called FRX Polymers, Inc., which is pretty difficult to confirm since the technology is all proprietary and could easily be just given a different name. And during a public hearing, Triton Systems leadership claimed that Triton had no control over its spin-off companies, but Ernest pointed out that Hagihat was the chairman of FRX Polymers until February of this year. Oof, I can see why Triton Systems leadership page has now scrubbed Hagihat's profile faster than a comedian scrubbing problematic old tweets after being cast on SNL. But recipients of this funding aren't just sharing technology with the CCP, they're also sharing the funding with China. In this academic publication on solar cells, Chinese researchers acknowledged that they got money from these US funding programs, as well as from state-backed Chinese research institutions, as well as the Air Force Office of Scientific Research. Chinese researchers receiving US taxpayer dollars. Because who needs better public education, healthcare, or infrastructure when you can give away punch-me-in-the-face lessons? So those aren't the only top recipients of SBIR and STTR awards with ties to China. The DoD listed a whole bunch of companies with very shady ties to China. It shows that China's extracting sensitive information, receiving taxpayer funding, and pumping money into U.S. companies, all while U.S. companies in turn are establishing China-based subsidiaries. The DoD warned that in nearly all its case samples, China, not the U.S., is the ultimate beneficiary of DoD and other U.S. government research investments. As an American, this is actually kind of inspiring. Because just when I think there's no way the U.S. can find stupider ways to waste taxpayer money, they keep finding new ways to surprise me. It gets worse. According to this 2021 report by the Protecting the National Security Innovation-Based Study Group, these programs lacked due diligence to assess national security risks. They're just giving out taxpayer money and not even bothering to see if it might end up hurting the U.S. There have been efforts to address some of the issues brought up by the DoD. Congress added some new safeguards when it renewed the grant programs in 2022. It required applicants to disclose whether they had ties to any foreign country of concern, including the People's Republic of China. Hopefully there was more due diligence on this than just making them pinky swear. But the 6 companies I mentioned were among the top 25 award recipients in 2023 and 2024, after improved due diligence policies for foreign ties were implemented. So it would seem that due diligence was about as effective as trying to swat a fly with a hula hoop. Unfortunately, these funding programs aren't the only ones compromised. The whole U.S. military-industrial complex has a long history of being infiltrated by China. I know, surprising. No one ever has anything bad to say about the U.S. military-industrial complex. Remember when F-35s were found to have illegal Chinese materials inside them? There was also that time when the DoD awarded a $50 million contract to a self-driving truck startup, which had, just a year before, announced a partnership that would integrate Chinese LiDARs onto their trucks. The DoD somehow missed the memo and allowed that startup's trucks onto U.S. military bases. Chinese LiDAR systems on U.S. military bases. Brain aneurysm. There's also the time when the DoD let a Chinese intel agency official own a U.S.-based defense contractor. If you want to learn more about that, I did a deep dive into this man in a China Uncensored premium episode over at ChinaUncensored.tv. Trust me, it's wild. The link is below. Then there are all the U.S. universities that do business with both the DoD and China. That includes the likes of Duke University, which has a Chinese campus as part of a joint venture with the PLA-linked Wuhan University. What is it with Wuhan? It's been accused of helping the CCP access sensitive U.S. technology, including Department of Defense funding research into advanced camera systems, now used to surveil Tiananmen Square and track millions of people across China. Though I don't know why they'd want to keep an eye on Tiananmen Square, since nothing's ever happened there, especially not in 1989. I could go on listing American universities that work with the DoD while maintaining Chinese ties, but you get the picture. The moral of the story? The DoD has a lot of fixing up to do if it wants to make sure that China doesn't get its grubby little fingers on U.S. tech. Again, you can learn more about this issue on this exclusive episode on our website, which you can watch on the China Uncensored app. Links are below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching.